Did you resolve to use more of your crafty stash? Well, let's cut up some pretty paper and turn it into cards without making any scraps. Hi, I'm Jess from jesscrafts.com, and I'm going to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get started. Today I am sharing with you One Sheet Wonder number 33. This is a template for 6x6 paper. It makes 3 A2 size cards without leaving any pattern paper scraps. I do mat all of my pattern paper pieces on cardstock, and you will be left with cardstock scraps, but I have a lot of ideas on my channel about how you could use those cardstock scraps, and I find cardstock scraps a little bit easier to deal with than pattern paper scraps. I can much more easily recycle a little strip of cardstock that I have left over than pattern paper. I always feel so, I don't know about you guys, but like I see more of the potential for the pattern paper, or I just have a harder time letting them go. I was inspired today by the MFT Color Challenge. That's my favorite things. They are an awesome stamp company. They have a lot of challenges on their blog. They have a color challenge, a sketch challenge, and I think one more. If you don't want to participate in the challenge in terms of entering it because maybe you don't have their products or something like that, I think it's still a great way, especially for those of you who are really challenging yourself to make more cards and do more with your crafty stuff. It will get you to try out some new color combinations or some new designs. And so today's color combination was black, red, a light blue, and a green. I decided to do something that I would have never done if it wasn't for this challenge, and that was to use the light blue as my mat. I found this red paper that was from an MFT paper pack, and if I was going to I'm kind of making a Valentine's Day card today. It doesn't have to be. I probably would have chose craft or black or maybe even another red. I would have never thought to choose a light blue, but I really like the way it turned out, and that's why I do recommend those challenges, even if you don't want to enter them or worry about, posting them in time. It still can just be something to get your creative juices flowing and get you to do something that it might be a bit unexpected. The cutting template, all of that's available on the blog, so you don't have to worry about what size I cut everything to, but I have these 1x4 inch strips and 2x2 inch squares. I'm going to glue down the strips so that they overlap each other. So one's in the top corner, and then the next one's slightly more to the right and down, and then the square gets layered on top of it. I am kind of showing you how I mass assemble these, and I make them all so that I really am not just left with piles, because I have occasionally done that in the past where I cut up all the paper for One Sheet Wonder, and then I don't go through the process of actually finishing and assembling all of them. I'll just finish what I need for the video, and I want to break that habit because I don't want to have any unfinished projects, even small projects like this, in my craft room. So that is why I'm kind of showing you that you really can complete this all quite quickly. The thing that took the most time was coloring in the little critter, which I'll use a dino stand from MFT. I am putting some extra bits of cardstock behind these different layering elements because I want them all to lay really smooth and evenly across the card. But because they are matted on thick cardstock, 110 pound from Michaels, it'll cause it to kind of bump up a little bit. And I just wanted to have a nice, flat, smooth look. I picked this dinosaur set from MFT. It was like a slight Valentine theme. There's one of the dinosaurs even has little hearts instead of the spots. But I mostly picked it because I needed to somehow incorporate green. The black I thought was easy. I could have done it as the mats, but then I wasn't sure how to use the blue. But I thought, well, the black for a sentiment is just kind of that would be perfect. But I think black could be great because you could color a lot of critters. They have this really cute little skunk set they released recently, and they have a lot of penguins that I really love. So you certainly could incorporate the black, but I was well, where am I going to get the green? And so that is what inspired me to choose these dinos. I'm using the YG family. I like YG 676361 for quite a few things. I think that the YGs tend to look a little bit more natural and realistic than the G's, and I do find myself if I'm reaching for greens, I'm more likely to pick a YG, a yellow green, than a G marker in Copic. So if you are newer to Copics and that is something you've wondered about, like, what are the difference between those two? I do generally recommend the YGs. I just kind of picked an area for the shadows would be along his back, and then I added my darkest color there, blended it out to my lightest color. To finish off the card, I wanted the sentiment in black, as I mentioned. I had this big hugs circle from MFT, and I did do that on one of the cards, but then I wanted to use up scraps for sentiments, and I didn't have any black scraps that were big enough to cut more of these. I only found one scrap big enough, so I do shift it. I keep it within the color scheme, but I pick a different die for my sentiment for my other two cards. I like to use my pressure tool from Twiddler's Nook, not only to help me get a good pressure on my stamping platform, my MISTI, but I also like it sometimes to make sure that I'm getting a nice even pressure as I'm gluing down a larger die cut, especially one that has little details like all of those letters. And then I will place my dinosaur in the center of the circle. I really liked how that turned out, and I was a little bit bummed that I didn't have more large scraps, but like I said, I just did not want to cut up another big piece of black paper at the time, even though I know it would eventually get used. I tried to use my cardstock scraps. If you found this video inspiring, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know you like this video with a share to your crafty community, subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video!